going to be starting this session with the data engineering 10,000 feet. This is going to be an interesting session, and we're going to have OJ, who will be talking through. OJ is someone we all met yesterday. He was the one that kicked off this session yesterday. And it's going to be an interesting session because you're all going to be learning the basis of data engineering, who is an engineer, what are the roles and responsibilities. And of course, you also have the opportunity to answer questions after all. We also have after that, we also have a guest speaker as well that will be coming in later to talk to us as well. So please, OJ, are you ready?
Thanks a lot for that, TT. Hello, everyone. Welcome to the afternoon session.
You're on mute. Okay. Okay, now I can hear you.
All right. So again, welcome to this afternoon session. I'm going to be talking about data engineering, and I'm going to be coming at a very, very high level. So 10,000 feet means it's extremely high level. Just looking at an overview. Why, what, what defines these roles. I'm going to start by talking about data. What's data, right? From a very, very simplistic illustration, data is a digital recording, right? The way we record stuff. Now, some of you might have, some level of technical knowledge that would explain things like bits and bytes to you, right? So at the end of the day, it's like computer language. How does a computer recognize a picture, a text, a piece of any sort of information? It stores this thing, data, and data at the end of the day is bits and bytes, ones and zeros, for those of you that might understand what I'm saying. But at the end of the day, this data, becomes what it processes. So a computer, Alexa, even for those of you that might be familiar with Alexa or a lot of other machine learning or AI bots, they don't actually speak human language. They speak computer, and computer speaks ones and zeros at the end of the day. So data in its purest form is just bits and bytes. Now, you've all probably heard this at one point in time or the other. Like, we're in the information age. Information age means data is readily available to a lot of people, and not just available in terms of in a consumable format, but also it's generated like in tons, and tons of it are generated every second. And because we have social media and we have a lot of other media, right, it means that this data continues to sort of multiply at an exponential rate. So what I mean is, you've all joined this webinar and you're all listening to me. While we are here, we're generating data. There's a video recording ongoing. There's analytics. Every time you click a button, you raise your hand, you unmute, you mute. That is being recorded in ones and zeros, right? For you, when you see that data, you might see it in text format, right? In a language that you understand. But on the computer, it's just ones and zeros at the end of the day. So if you think about this, there's a massive amount of data being generated around us every day. And this is exploding, like massively exploding. And then if you also think about the speed at which we're generating this data, like if I go back 10 years ago, right, you're at an event, you're at a physical event, and you're all present there. You realize that even though you guys were generating data, right, it wasn't being stored in the volume with which it's being stored today. So what I mean is, someone probably counted 1,000 people came for this event and wrote that down. That is all the data, even though so much of it must have been generated, right, or exist, but very little of it was recorded. And then we had conference calls, and then you'll have 100 people on a call, and there was even more data being generated. Apart from the 100 people on the call, you could record the entire call, right? That's another massive amount of data. But now every data, everything you do on the internet, everything you do in certain buildings, right, is being recorded. So, and it's being recorded at a very fast rate. So we're kind of just generating so much of that data. And then this data has there's a need to the veracity of the data, right? Sometimes it's sample data and it's not reflective, and then it gives the wrong information depending on where you view that data from. Okay, and then you also have different, like I said, there's the text, there's the voice, there's video, and there even different types of images, right? There's 2D, there's 3D, and there's HD, there's ultra high definition, there's a lot of that, right? Even in terms of types and the variety even of the type, there's sub of each category. Now all of this exists, but it's not valuable yet, okay, until someone makes information out of it. You have to generate information from this. Now the guys that start initially generating information are data analysts. Sometimes they're called business analysts too, but for business analysis you kind of have a broader scope. But data analysts just give them a chunk of data, ask them one question or no question at all, just give me insights, and then they'll run a lot of tools and then give you graphs and give you all sorts of visualization or information from that data. And you get all of those guys. And then you also have, in today's world, every time you go to any site now, like you open your email and you try to type in a message, do you notice that nearly every email service now has recommendations? So it kind of picks the detail from the subject or whoever you're addressing your email to, and then it suggests maybe you say hello this person, right, even before you type that. What you have there is a model, right, in a recommendation or a suggestion to you. Now the guys that train those models to be able to make those recommendations are called data scientists, right? And those data scientists are the ones that sort of they find inference, right, from patterns in data, right, and then they use that to make predictions, or they use that to make suggestions, which are sometimes accurate, sometimes not, right? So that's a totally different pathway. But what I'm trying to highlight here is mad amount of data constantly multiplying, right? Only useful if it is put in, if there are techniques and tools that can be applied to get some sense out of this data. And here comes the data engineer. You've got chunks of data, you need to move them from one place to the other. Okay, so you record the data in one place, or it's generated in one place. You now need to move it somewhere else. Now, sometimes when this data is being generated, it is perfect, which is hardly ever the case, right? It is perfect. There's every form has been filled. Like, I'll give you an example. For most of you that applied for this internship, right? Some of you put your country and location in caps. Some of you put them all in lowercase. Some of you started the first of them with capital letters. They all came in various formats. Now, there's nothing wrong with that because you've provided data, right? You've not been told to select. You've just been given a plain string to fill. Now, this data comes into a system, and someone has to train a model with that. Someone has to, for example, generate an email, a series of emails to all of you. So imagine you're getting an email, and that email wants to be, someone's trying to personalize that email. They look at that email and it says hello with your name, but your name comes all in lowercase. or it comes in all uppercase, it looks strange or out of place for you, right? And you go like, why? It's because that data, right, has not been standardized. It has not been organized in such a format that it's consistent. For a data analyst to be able to run queries and give you insights, or for a data scientist to be able to train models, right, that can give near accurate predictions, they need this data to be moved into a place, to be cleaned, to be organized properly. And that is the work of a data engineer, right? You need to take care of the storage of the data. You need to be able to extract that data, okay, transport it somewhere else over the internet, physical media, uh, um, um, different types of storage, different types of databases, and then sometimes transform that data. Additionally, there are requirements for lineage, like where did this data come from? Who has touched this data? Who has modified this data, right? And sometimes also you need to put them in a catalog. For some of you, that might sound strange, right? Like you want to go to you want to buy something, you go to a marketplace online, e-commerce shop, and then someone is telling you the products you're buying there are this is data, this is data, this is data. It might come across as strange, but in for a data analyst or a data scientist, they actually prefer to have a catalog where they can go and get the data that they need, right? Because they know that, okay, so this is this data, this is how it comes through, this is the format, and I will get what I want. So all of that, getting all of that ready is the work of a data engineer. Okay, there's so many things you will do. The education you might do throughout this program, you will learn about what you do in what data engineers do in detail, but also the techniques and the tools that are used to perform this sort of transformations or transportation or modification or cleaning or whatever you call you want to call it, you know. And before I started, there was a question already in the QA section that was about the merge between data and cloud engineering, right? There's a very strong intersect between both, because today's world, right? In not too long ago, a lot of this data was generated on premise. Everybody had their own data center, their own storage, and they stored their data. But in today's world, because of the explosion of data, there are very few organizations that can actually afford to keep their own data on their own infrastructure. So nearly all of the data is going to be in the cloud, first thing. Okay, nearly all of it, like probably about 80% to 90% of data is actually generated in the cloud today. So your social media data, technically, it's generated and stored automatically in the cloud. So there's very little that is stored on-prem. The big chunk where I leave 20% on-prem, typically, or about 15 to 18%, is from IoT, which eventually will also make its way typically into the cloud. So for a data engineer, you need to have certain skills, an understanding of storage, an understanding of storage types, right? Object storage, file storage, various schemas, SQL. You need to understand without being afraid. So I don't want to. I'm being very deliberate not to use technical terminology, as not too many technical terminology, because I don't want it to come across as being overwhelming, right? But I want you to understand that at the end of the day, all you're trying to do, right, is store data, transport it sometimes, transform it sometimes, and sometimes, load it back into other systems, ETL, right? I'm dancing around the world, but essentially at the end of the day, but you're using several tools to do that. Some of those tools are actual programming languages, libraries in Python, or other programming languages that you would use for this. But it's important to understand how that flow works, and then understand it at a conceptual level, not just at a tool level, because what you find out is there's several tools out there today that can do the same job. Some better, some not as well. But better and as well is usually relative. So better for some people might be cheaper. Better for some people might be a lot more detail, a level of quality. Better for some people might be speed, right? Can you do this faster? So there's so many tools out there that you can use, right? But then at the end of the day, you need to stay with the concept, because once you understand the concept, irrespective of the organization you work in, irrespective of the tools that they've chosen to use in that organization, right? If you understand the basic concepts, and you develop a mindset, all right, that keeps you within that, okay, so it's just data, whether it's pictures, videos, files, text, strings, whether it's JSON files, whatever format it is, it's just, it's data. And my job is to create a pipeline for it that can do certain things, right, in that pipeline, and get it somewhere else where it is useful. Now, you will see in real life that a lot of in a lot of places, even in CIL, the role of a data engineer sometimes overlaps with the roles of data analysts. So a lot of engineers will be called upon to perform the job of data analyst, because while you're trying to make sense out of the data, if something breaks, you can go under the engine, fix that, and you get going. A lot of data engineers also, right, do some I won't say basic, but they do some data science work. They can train models. All right, they can be involved in that process, and also productionizing it, making it available. So you've trained the model, now everybody's saying there's an AI bot. You need to provide an endpoint, manage that endpoint that is being used to consume the services of that model that you've trained. So there's a massive overlap with cloud engineering, but then it's important to stick with the concept, stay at the concept when you start, and then be ready to use any tool. Be ready to work with any database type or schema. Follow the use case. I think from a very high level, that is data engineering.
Thank you very much, Uche. I can already see some questions here for you, and I'll just take them one by one. There is a question from, as a data engineer, do I need to specialize on a particular Python library?
I would say no, don't even start there at all, right? Understand that your job, right, is to work with, you might even end up building a library yourself at some point when you search around and you can't find a library that does what you need, right? It's about understanding what you need to do, understanding that there are resources out there that you can apply to solve the problems in front of you, right? It is not one library, it is not all libraries. It's about understanding what the problem is, feeling confident enough in yourself to work through problems using several tools. Sometimes you might have to pick up a new programming language or some new skill, right, just to solve a particular problem. At the end of the day, what you're doing is just focusing on the problem, feeling confident enough to bring in any tool, right, to solve that problem because you understand its fundamentals.
Okay. So someone also, Salisu wants to know, what pipeline are you talking about?
So I describe cloud engineers as mechanics, cloud mechanics, right? And data engineers also as still they're also like mechanics. And when I talk about mechanics, I'm talking about automobile engineers, or the guys that fix our cars and stuff like that. Now, a pipeline is it comes from, they picked it from the word pipeline. So the use of the word pipeline for describing this usually comes from the oil and gas industry. They go into the ground, they get some oil, they pipe it basically from one location to another where it gets refined, and then you pipe out gas, you pipe out PMS, you pipe out other outputs from that original crude. So in terms of pipeline, also when it comes to data, it's about pipelines. So for example, you have IoT devices, say traffic cameras, right? Or traffic lights all over your city. Now, these traffic lights might have cameras, might not, but all the stuff that they're doing, changing lights from one color to the other, all of that, they're recording that they've done that. Now, you want to send all of that message back somewhere so that it can be processed. So let's start at the source of the pipeline. Those IoT devices become producers. They're producing data. Now that data needs to be sent to a storage. Now you need to create the storage maybe somewhere in the cloud, but then it needs to go over some sort of network, right? It could be a mobile network. It could be which might be wireless, right? It could be a cable network. Maybe they're all connected, right? It could go over, that now you can actually transfer data also over electricity cables. There's stuff around that. So you can have that. Now, the pipeline starts the moment the producer, right, generates that. It starts to go through some sort of media. It gets to a particular storage. The storage might be in various formats. It could be object storage, and you're just storing JSON files. It could be a NoSQL database, and you're just dropping various parts of the data into different into the database, right? And then in that pipeline, we're still on the pipeline. I might have to deduplicate. Maybe the IoT device sends a message. If it does not receive what you call an ACK or an acknowledgement, it resends that same message. But maybe both messages end up arriving, right? And then you have the timestamps at the same. So you might have part of your pipeline is checking for duplicates, and they're saying, oh, this device ID sends the same message at the same timeline. We don't need, let's compare both of them. They look the same. We don't need to keep both of them. We delete one. So that's still happening in your pipeline. And then further down the line, it goes to another section. Oh, now we need to dump this message into a new format because we're going to run a particular kind of query on it, and we're going to be using a particular technique, blah, blah, blah. All of that is still in your pipeline. Okay, now we need to load this into somewhere so that we can feed a model, right? And train a model with this. This is also part of your pipeline. So the pipeline keeps running. So the term pipeline is not necessarily physical, right? But it defines the journey of the data that's generated from the producers all the way to the consumers of that data. And these are not necessarily human beings. They might just be systems or services within or along that pipeline.
Thank you, Uche. I still have a couple of questions more. There's a question here on, in data engineering, do I just build pipelines or do I do analytics, right? I feel some of the things you just said kind of covered this question.
Yeah, so I'll just emphasize again, the data engineer is more or less about the pipeline. However, in real life, when you get those roles, your work is going to be you're going to work on APIs, creating the endpoints that they can consume stuff with. You're going to work on analytics. Someone is going to say, run a report, generate this, automate the creation of this particular report. And then sometimes you actually also play the role of data scientist, right? So as a data engineer, it's sort of you're in the middle where you're enabling everybody else to do their job. But over time, you actually understand what everybody else is doing, and you might choose to actually also perform the roles that they're all doing. But at the end of the day, you are that engine that supports a lot of data consumers.
Thank you, Uche. I still have a couple of questions more. When you say a data engineer transports data, please, what do you mean in terms of data engineering? There is an answer together. Can I move on after gaining specialty in data engineering to artificial intelligence or learning machine learning? Sorry.
Okay. So I think I've forgotten the first part of that question, but the second part is
Okay.
sorry, probably ask me one question at a time just so that I don't lose my my train of thought. But to the second question, and I can come back to the first one when you repeat it. Like I'm just going to emphasize this again, right? It is if you get data engineering, if you love it, if you learn it, if you understand it, right? There are a lot of data roles that still exist, including the data science role, right? That you can effectively use that knowledge, all right, to enter into, right? Now, I didn't think there was a need to sort of define all the various roles in the data world, but because we're focusing on data engineering, but it's important to understand that as a data engineer, you're going to work with all of those roles. Okay, you're going to work with people in all of those roles because they will be depending on your data pipelines, right, to do that, to perform their jobs. And for you, you will need to understand what they are doing. Otherwise, you won't understand what they need, and you won't be able to serve them with your pipelines. So at the end of the day, you can also go into any of those roles. Yes, do you want to repeat that question again?
Okay, yeah. So the first part of the question was, when you say a data engineer transports data, please, what do you mean in terms of data engineering?
So it is not physically carrying data. Well, in some cases it can actually be physical, but that's a long story. It's about okay. Like I said, there are various protocols, right, that you can use over the connections that you have, the whether physical or radio connections that you have between locations. Now, your job is to configure this, okay? Not just from so there's an element of networking here that I'm trying to play down, but your job is to ensure the protocol is right to send that data over that transport media. So you're transporting it technically. You're making sure that it goes from one place to another. It might be within a system, it might be across locations, right? It might be within processes, right? The idea is to ensure that the data goes from a point to another point where it is needed, from the producer to the consumer.
Okay, so we have a couple of more minutes, like 2 more minutes to take another question. When you say open source frameworks, are you talking about Python frameworks here?
Yes, and more than that. That's a very simple answer. It's yes and more.
Okay. Do I need prior understanding of OSI model as a data engineer?
As a techie, whether you're a data engineer, cloud engineer, front-end engineer, wherever you fall in the world of tech, I believe that the OSI model is fundamental to how you understand the flow of bits and bytes through systems.
Okay. One more question before we move on. There's another question here about are there areas where data engineering overlaps with data science?
A lot of areas, yes.
Okay, I think that's all we can take for now. We need to move to our next session. We have a guest speaker that is going to be talking to us. Che, can you move the slides, please? Thank you very much. Okay, so we have a guest speaker who's going to talk to us, and Uzioma is a senior science solution architect at Amazon web service with a wealth of experience in both telecom and cloud technology. He holds a degree in electronic engineering from University of Nigeria, Nsukka, and a master's in philosophy in engineering for sustainable development, which has given him a strong foundation in the principles of engineering and a deep understanding of the impact of technology on society. He is well versed in a wide range of technologies, including AWS services, network and security, and cloud migration, and is known for his passion for technology, drive, for technology, drive for innovation, and ability to design and implement complex solutions that meets the unique needs of clients. He is dedicated to helping his clients achieve their goals and navigate the ever-evolving landscape of cloud and telecom technology. Uzioma, thanks for joining us today. Everybody would like to hear from you. Thank you. You're welcome. Is Uzioma, can Uzioma hear me?
Not sure Izamba is on the call yet. Probably having network issue or something.
Okay.
Let me reach out to him on the bar. But I think we can still use the time to get more questions answered. I think we just got OJ, if you're still on the call, we just got additional minutes to answer more questions. So see if you just check the Q&A section. Let's see if we could take more questions while we get to the matter.
Well, all right. That's okay. OJ, are you still available for us?
Yes.
All right. There's another question here. Where will would there be need to work? Would there be need to work with APIs too as a data engineer?
Absolutely. So as a data engineer, you realize that you will have to consume APIs. You'll also have to publish or expose APIs for your services. So more and more now, you're having what you call data marts or data markets, right? Where people can actually go and get data sets. Now, those things are published on API endpoints, so you will have to consume. And also, when you finish building your service, you'll have to expose it. The world is leaning more now towards an API first approach to tech services. So before you even build the front end or the website or the web application or the mobile application, you'll probably focus initially on building out that service and exposing it via an API. So everybody is going to work with APIs. And just so you know, you're already consuming a lot of APIs. Attending this call, you're consuming APIs exposed by a lot of service providers, not just Zoho or ourselves. Every time you open your Facebook, right, that Facebook or TikTok or LinkedIn or whatever social media, all of the services you're consuming are API endpoints. If you open your email and you're about to type an email, right, you notice like the example I gave earlier, the recommendation, right? And you're typing, most of them now, they keep recommending stuff to you, just so you understand. It's every time you type in text, it is sending it back to the service via an API, and then the recommendations are coming through. If you go to Google and you're trying to search for something, right, you're using a search service in the back end, but it is sending it through to that service via an API endpoint. And then that search service is returning the response to you. Okay. So yes, APIs everywhere.
Right, see, I think that's back to you. Have we exhausted the list of the questions we have?
Someone asked, what is IoT? I'll
What
just keep
is
question.
IoT? It's just the last one.
Okay. So IoT is Internet of Things. It used to be a while back, they used to say machine to machine, right? M to M. But now the standard terminology is IoT. IoT is it's about the I don't want to call it the future of the world, it's the current state of the world. Connected devices, connected machines, connected systems, connected homes, everything connected. So essentially you have sensors or small computers embedded in stuff all around us. Your fridge, for example, just imagine your refrigerator, you put your milk there, right? And every time the milk gets to 10%, it will send an order to your milk supplier to send milk to your house. And then so that is the idea of connected devices, IoT. But there are far more complicated use cases. There are far simpler use cases. They vary, but the terminology for those connected devices just Internet of Things, IoT. For example, you guys can hear that my Alexa is telling me that someone is ringing my front door. That's connected because my doorbell is connected to.
All right, thank you very much, Uche. I think we have the presence of Uzoma here. You're welcome. I had there was an introduction done earlier, but we were waiting for you to come in. Can we hear you speak? Are you here now? Hello.
He was on the call just some seconds ago. He dropped off again. I think he's probably having a network issue. Okay.
Okay, Juwon, while we wait, maybe we can take on the next session with you. What do you think? Start off with that, and then move on to Uzoma when he's able to get his network fixed.
All right. That works. Just I feel like there's some other things that we can use to fill in that space before the session for working through that.
Oh,
Okay, Uzoma is back on the call. Hi, Uzoma.
Hello, can you hear me?
Yeah, bro.
yes, we can. You're welcome.
Yeah, so sorry about this. I think I got the wrong Google Meet link or something, but yeah, good to be here.
Thank you very much for joining us. We did a bit of introduction on you earlier while you were still trying to while you were still working on your connection. So we have the floor for you now. Start up.
Oh yeah, hello, hi everyone. My name is Ozioma Ozegu. You can just call me Ozi. I currently work as a senior solutions architect at Amazon Web Services. Work with financial services customers in London. And prior to working for AWS, I used to work for an AWS partner called Insight UK, where I was leading the AWS practice as well in a similar role as a solution architect. And prior to that, I worked for 5 years for British Telecoms, where I was working on the IT platforms that provide the UK broadband infrastructure. And yeah, just a little bit of background about my education. I studied in University of Nigeria, Nsukka, where I graduated with a BEng in electronics engineering. I moved to the UK in 2012, got a scholarship to study in Cambridge. So I did a master's in Cambridge for a year. And then immediately afterwards, I joined British Telecoms. Other things maybe about me a little bit more. I'm from Nigeria, as you must have guessed from the name. From the southwest, southeast of Nigeria, to be precise. Anambra, if you're familiar with that area. but I moved to the UK in 2012, and I've been here since then as well. I live in a small town called Ipswich in the UK with my family. And I'm really excited to kind of speak to you all kind of about my journey so far and take any questions you might have as well. Cool, that's me. I guess it's time to just talk, isn't it?
Thank you very much, Uzoma. Time to start. And as you there are going to be definitely a lot of questions being dropped on the chat group, which I would read out and you would answer as well.
Sure. Sure, that's fine. So do we go with question, or do you want me to talk a little bit about my journey to where I am today? Or
I think you can go ahead and talk with your journey. As the question drops, I would let you know and then take it from there.
No worries at all. So just to kind of maybe give you a little bit about my background, where I came from, and how I kind of have progressed in my career so far. So right from childhood, I started kind of playing around with computers. So my parents, my father and mom are lecturers in University of Nigeria, Nsukka. In fact, both of them are professors as well. So I grew up in a university environment. You wouldn't believe it, but I did my primary education, my secondary, and my university education all in the same town, which is really strange, to be honest. But thinking about it, I think that helped me a lot to kind of stay close to academics. But I think something that really helped me, especially into tech, was we had a hub in University of Nigeria, Nsukka, then called Uhere Study Center. So this was a study center that was run by the Opus Dei Foundation. So Opus Dei is one of the groups you have within the Catholic Church, and that really kind of encourages young folks to kind of develop various skills. So we had almost like a computer lab within the Opus Dei facility, and this was somewhere we go every weekend to play around with computers. So that was where I learned how to type, out looking at the keyboard. So the AccuType, if you're familiar with AccuType, the software that teaches you how to type. So it kind of taught me how to type. But that was really my exposure to computers and what you can do with computers. I remember then I started learning assembly programming language, C programming language, then moved on to Java. But I think doing it with other youths and my friends and even those older than me was really a source of encouragement to kind of grow. In fact, within that hub, a lot of the folks in that hub went out to start to have their startups in Nigeria. I don't know if you know about companies like C2G Consulting, companies like Synfix, companies like Byteworks. These are all startups that came out of, I would say, the folks, the founders were actually part of that hub in Uhere Study Center. So that kind of exposed me to kind of what is the art of the possible if you kind of dive deep into tech, what you can achieve in the future for you. So that really got me interested. I really enjoyed programming, and I moved on to study electronic engineering, which was really a course that could help you do a little bit of the soldering of the circuit boards, but I was more interested in the software aspect of it as well, in terms of designing electronic systems. So I did that for 5 years, and I kind of was doing my electronics engineering course, but also learning a lot of software. In uni, that's when I learned Java, and I also started teaching others Java as well. So I remember those days I used to charge a fee to teach Java programming language then. But that kind of helped me to cement my knowledge on Java, and also helped me to help my friends to learn it as well. And then I moved on to do my IT. So immediately I was in fourth year, I already had a lot of places I could do IT, because all the people that I knew from that little study hub, that study center I told you about, a lot of them have their own startups then, like Synfix, for example. So it was just me reaching out to some of them to do my IT with them. So IT means industrial training, something you do when you are in a university in Nigeria. So I did that for 1 year with them, and it was really a great experience. So startup life, we're all in their sitting room with a single fan that all of us used one fan. Imagine that massive hut you have in Lagos State. We all sharing the one fan with the founders. But it was a very good experience because I was thrown into the deep end to build a HR system for one of the companies in Lagos. And it was really an amazing experience, kind of getting stuck in and building actual things that will be used by customers versus just supporting or doing something really really little. So that gave me a lot of exposure. So immediately I finished uni as well, which I came back after my IT, did another year in uni. Immediately after that, the company recruited me as a full-time staff then, and that was also another wonderful experience. That's kind of my first time leaving my university, kind of the area I grew up, and moving out to live in Lagos. And I must tell you, that was an interesting experience for me. So it was good because I kind of had my place now in Lagos. But in terms of the job, it was really a good job again. A software engineer working on a number of solutions for the Nigerian government and also for the private sector. I remember then I worked on the National Identity Management System. So if you know NIMC, the system that is used for collecting fingerprints from Nigerians and taking your face scan. So I worked on that system, the very early stages of that system, integrating it to the NIMC backend. I also worked on a number of other projects like the Logic JQS. So this is the platform for the oil and gas industry for the country to collate their compliance data into the government. So government needed a portal for oil and gas companies in Nigeria like Shell, Chevron, to make sure that they are complying with some of the regulations they've been set on, especially with regards to protecting local content. So I worked on that online portal as well. And a number of other systems these are kind of the notable ones for me. And it was, again, an interesting 1.5 years of diving deep into software development and building actual systems, actual production systems that will be used by folks. And
very interesting.
sorry,
I mean, you did mention.
Do you want me to continue?
Yeah, there are a couple of questions now, but you did mention something that, can you hear me? So you said earlier that you were in a community of professionals, and that's, I've seen that as something that really helps a lot because you gain a lot of experience within that community that is always very, very useful for the future.
Yes.
I do have a couple of questions for you here. Sekinat wants to know what it's like working with AWS as a solution architect. Also, what's the day-to-day activity as well?
Okay, yeah. So let's step back a bit and talk about maybe the solution architect job. So my role as a solution architect is to really be the trusted technical advisor to my customers. So I work with thousands of customers, and my role is to help those customers to design what an architecture could look like for running their application on the AWS cloud. So let's take, for example, you are building an e-commerce platform today, or you are building a HR system today, or you are building a financial payment system today. When you build that software, you need to deploy it for it to run somewhere so that your users can use the software. How that has been done in the past was to deploy it in an on-premises data center. But what AWS provides is a cloud platform for customers to deploy their applications on AWS. So what my role is to help those customers to design and architect that solution on using best practices, using the cloud native design principles to make sure that that application can run in a scalable way, in a reliable way, and also is highly available for your customers to use your application. And so that's kind of my core role, working with customers in this way to help them build and modernize on AWS. But I also do a lot of other things which the role expects as well. We also meant to be evangelists, about technical evangelists. So how do we talk a bit more about tech to folks, like doing things like public speaking, speaking in conferences about various technologies and what you can do with technology. So I do a lot of public speaking as well. The role also expects you to write, to also write technical content. So if it's about writing blog posts, writing in different mediums, I also do that, a lot of that as well. We're also encouraged to mentor people and to help people to advance in the next stage of their career. Similar to what I'm doing here at the moment, talking to all of you. We want to grow the next generation of tech enthusiasts, of tech experts. So we are also encouraged, as part of my role, to mentor young Amazonians, both internally or even those externally, as they grow in their professional career. I would say those are kind of the key functions of the role, but I can maybe spend another 1 hour talking to you about what I do at AWS. But I think this will do for now, if that helps.
Thank you very much. As can a newbie become a solution architect?
That's a very good question, and I think is a similar question I've gotten quite a lot in this role. But I think the way I'll put it is this: for you to be a good solution architect, you need to have a lot of empathy. What do I mean by that? You need to be able to kind of have walked the walk and have felt the pain of developers and of those that build systems or those that manage operations. You need to be able to understand what it means to write a software and for your software to communicate with a database and for users to talk to a web front end, for example. You need to be able to understand what it means to monitor applications, to build DevOps systems, to understand how people deploy systems. Again, you don't need to be an expert in that. You don't need to be the best out there in that, but you need to at least have an idea so that when a customer is talking to you about their pain, about what they're trying to achieve, about what they're trying to do, at least you can relate to it versus you don't even understand what they're talking about. So my recommendation is this, is always start with understanding what an IT systems look like. You need that foundation of understanding how an IT system looks like, what are the key components, how they interact with each other, because that will give you that opportunity to understand and appreciate what the complexities and what the technical limitations and what good looks like when you think about building those platforms. So that when you're working with customers, it will be a lot more easier. So you need a little bit of background experience to be able to be a good solution architect. But again, you can start small and grow in the role. But you need to kind of invest that time in really understanding what the basic systems you'll be architecting should look like to be able to be very good at the job, if that helps. Okay.
Thank you very much. I have another question here that says, what are the right set of skills you to make you succeed in the role? I know you've mentioned empathy. There are a couple of other skills that are required,
Yeah.
those skills as well.
So typically, when we see good solution architects, it's usually folks that potentially come from different backgrounds. So the first background we usually see is folks that come from a software development background. So if you've been writing software in the past, at least you understand how a software works, you understand how to build a 3-tier application, a microservice. That really helps. So that is a good skill to have. Another good skill we see is folks that come from an infrastructure background. Think about if you have been working in a data center, you know how to do networking, you know how to connect systems together, you know how to build infrastructure. Those are also very good skills that will help you to be a good solution architect. Another area we've also seen is folks that are this is a big transition, but I'm gonna talk to you about it. Folks have been doing tech sales, for example. So folks have been selling tech, but they understand the tech. They're not like your typical just salesman interested only in the money. They have spent the time as part of their tech sales to explain tech to their customers. I've seen some friends make that transition as well, from tech sales to actually being a solution architect. It's going to be a steep learning curve, but it's also possible. I think my view is some of the things I mentioned are the good background skills to have to be a good solution architect, but I also think that there is room for everybody if you are willing to put in the work and to put in the effort. Whatever, if you come from any tech background in some way, or if you want to go through a career switch as well, there are mechanisms that could help you become a very good solution architect if you are willing to put in the work.
Thank you very much. There is a question here regarding how did you transit from a software engineer to become a cloud architect?
I would say that that's almost kind of a very typical transitioning. It's not like a very big career change. To be honest, I don't even feel it's a career change, because if you're doing software development, at some point you become a software architect, kind of, which is close to what a solution architect do. It's quite similar. But I'll tell you a little bit more how I did my switching to cloud, because to be fair, this thing about cloud wasn't there 15, 20 years ago. Nobody was talking about cloud. But I think in 2017, I decided to focus my career into cloud. And I wanted to do that full time. That's kind of what I wanted to do full time. The company I was working with then wasn't really into the whole cloud thing. It was the period when cloud started to gain traction. A lot of customers are beginning to explore that. But the company I was working with wasn't really tuned into that. And the work I was doing in that company didn't have anything to do with cloud, or let alone solution architecture. So, but I knew deep down me, I wanted to be a solution architect. So what I did was to start writing certifications of AWS. So I wrote about 5 AWS certifications within about 6-7 months. So this is the developer associate certifications, the CISOP admins, the solution architect associate, the DevOps Pro, and the AWS associate professional as well. I wrote these 5 certifications. And I must tell you that these certifications changed the course of my career, because what that allowed me to do was to, even though in my the work I was doing, I didn't have any cloud experience, I didn't have any solution architect experience, but I have been able to demonstrate to employees that I'm able to sit down and write 5 certifications, and I was able to kind of talk the talk as well during the interview. So that opened a lot of doors for me. The job I got immediately after leaving that job that didn't give me the experience was, in my view, a very good career change for me. Massive step jump in terms of everything, in terms of responsibility, in terms of remuneration as well. And that kind of helped me move into that cloud space, if you get what I mean. So I think scaling up myself to understand what this cloud is all about and having something to show for it via certification was really the turning point that kind of helped me to get into this space and make that transitioning.
Thank you very much, Ozioma. So, I mean, you've said a couple of things here, which I feel are very key. If you're even going to start looking into becoming a solution architect, understand the basics, understand IT system, how they interact, all that, at least have a good understanding, and then start looking at what are those certifications you need to help you to get there. That would be like a means to an end, and then you can now start having that conversation. One last question though, somebody wants to know, in order to understand those basic IT systems, do you have any recommendation of where that is possible? Understanding of IT systems, you're talking about people that do not have IT background. So what are those courses you recommend generally? And if there is only any other last word you would like to give before we end the session.
Yeah, I'm happy to maybe share some courses with you, maybe something to look at, but things around kind of computer. I know there's things like Computer Plus and basic introduction to computing. But again, those trainings are great. Those trainings are great, but nothing beats like real life, real world, hands-on experience. So I know it's difficult to kind of even get a chance to feel that experience. But if you can scale up and find a way to get a support role or even potentially build applications on your own, learn how to build web applications. This one, you don't need anybody to kind of help you there. You can pick up a JavaScript book, learn how to build a 3-tier web application, a microservices application, learn how to build React web application using React, Node.js, AngularJS, talking to a microservice, and then with a database at the back. So I can even understand how that, so you don't need anybody to give you a chance for that. You can go read a book or do some trainings on Udemy to be able to build that, or even free courses on YouTube to be able to get on that journey. So once you start, at least from there, you can begin to demonstrate to people that you know something, at least you know tech. Also, showing your work in the public is very important because that's the only way people will see you. Show your work. When you build something, put it on GitHub, share it on LinkedIn, share it on Twitter. Tell us you are building so that we'll know you. Otherwise, nobody's going to know you or know that you exist. People have gotten opportunities from that. When you are building, build in public. Learn, build stuff, show us, and then that could potentially help you. But if you have the opportunity, get into a support role, get into a database administrator role or a IT support role. Those are environments that will really expose you to real world systems, and you gradually begin to build up from there. So my closing remark would be is that, I mean, nobody gets where they want to be in a day or there's no magic wand. If you asked me 10 years ago whether I'll be where I am today, I would have told you, no, I didn't see a path to that. I didn't see a path to being where I am today. There wasn't 10 years ago, I didn't see what's the path to that place. So I know it might also feel the same way for you today. And personally, I don't even know the path of where I'm going to be in the next 10 years. I don't even know. So I think we're all figuring things out as we go through our career. So my only advice to you is don't lose faith, don't lose hope, but you need to put in the work. Put in the work, skill up yourself, learn a lot, practice things, ask questions, get mentors, and gradually you begin to climb up in your journey.
Thank you very much, Uzoma. Thank you for joining us on this session. We've been able to learn a lot from you. At least one other thing you said in these last words is, in addition to getting the certification, look for an opportunity to get experience as well, and also build things. Let people know you have the skills, showcase what you have. Thank you very much. Juwon, I think it's time for your session. We'll move over to you now. So we're going to go into another session now where we're going to engage, which will be more on engagement tools and their how to use, and Adejuwon is going to take us on that. Over to you, Juwon.
Right. Thank you very much, T. Uzoma, thank you very much for that wonderful session. It was so great. I learned a lot myself, and I feel like I'm motivated to consider a career and solution architect myself, architecture like that. Thank you very much. So the next one we're going to be talking, JV, could please move the slide. We're going to just get a bit practical again. Like we did in the morning, we're going to be talking about the LMS tools and some other engagements we're going to be interacting with you guys with in this journey. it's we kind of have so much respect. So we put in a lot of work into this particular cohort, really, because this time around you guys will be the one that actually pioneered this tool we've been building for you guys. So you're going to be consuming your content on an LMS. I'm going to take you through how you interact with it, starting your course and getting enrolled, how you consume the actual content, and then some other things that might arise. So as that might have already put up in your head, there's going to be a lot of questions. So I'm going to just do that within like 10-15 minutes, and then we take a lot of questions from there. Okay. Next slide, Jay. So also at that as well, before I also continue, at interval, we're going to be reaching out to you guys during the course of the program. We're going to be getting feedback from you guys. So how is this working? Are you having any issues? We're going to be in there like constantly just to be sure that you're getting the best experience of the LMS. Can you move to the next slide, Jay? Okay. Okay, all right. Let's go ahead and share from here. All right. Okay, guys. So here is it. Here, just screenshots. I'm going to take you guys through the actual process in a live environment. I'm going to probably have to share my screen at some point then. So here's what the LMS looks like. On the first time you land on the landing page, that's the first screenshot on the left. On the far left, that's what you're going to see. It just gives you like an overview of the platform, basically. And as we've mentioned since the beginning of the program, we're focusing right now on data and cloud engineering, but that's to just say that is what we feel like that's as some sort of urgency, so it doesn't like doing that right now. Eventually, there are going to be other domains that are going to be, taking people through, and if you probably have relatives or friends that maybe they don't have anything to do with data or cloud, and they think they're interested in other domains, tell them they should keep an eye on our social media pages or our handles on LinkedIn. When we start those ones, we're going to also communicate with you guys. We're also going to drop it on all our Slack channels, right? So as you can see there, we have delivery management, we have product management, we have front-end engineering, cloud, and data. Okay. Then if you scroll down a bit more, you see some other informations on a very high level. And from there, you can begin your journey, whatever it is that you might want to do from there. Okay. And the second slide shows you a typical view of a course that you might want to take. So before you get into the course, there are going to be some other things that, of course, that has to be done. So due to for this course, how we're going to be onboarding people is going to be, we have your names already, we have all your details. We're going to do a manage a controlled onboarding for all of you, which is what we've been saying at the beginning of this program, that if you're not registered into this program, it's as good as you not really making good use of your time. Well, if you're on any of these sessions and you get to maybe learn one of the things, that's fine, but you won't be able to have access into the LMS or interact with it at all, because we are going to be doing controlled onboarding. So if you at any point registered for this class, be sure that you're going to either get an email that's inviting you to the platform, or a credential will be actually shared into your email, which you're going to use to log into the system. Okay. And then you will be able to have access to all of the courses, all of, like I explained in the morning, the cohort, the module, all of that, right? The module and the quiz and all of the assignments, blah, blah, blah. Okay. They're going to have access into that, and you're going to be able to interact with them. So the second screenshot, as I was saying, has all the list of the courses, the course content rather, be it an announcement that maybe we're probably making for that particular course. Oh, okay, be aware of this, or be take note of this, or just any general information, basically. So you will see all the sections in that particular course all well arranged, okay? And then when it gets to the part where you actually they start consuming actual content, maybe let's say that particular course is arranged in topics, you'll be able to interact with each topic and the contents therein. Okay, so we're going to see like a practical view of that as well. And then the third screenshot shows the actual page and what it looks like. We're going to go through maybe like 1 or 2 courses while we're still on this call now, right? So you guys can see how it's going to work. And the second screenshot again, if you look to the right side, we set some things in the morning around badges and certificates and whatnot, right? So there's some courses that has some certain badges. So we believe modules basically. We believe that if you're able to take these 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, maybe like up to like 10 or 13 courses that relate to a particular path, learning path, and you're able to take, if there's a quiz or any assignments or projects assigned to it, you're able to complete it, then you get that badge for that particular experience, right? And then when you're done, when you're fully done as well, you get that. So without saying too much, I'm going to share my screen from here. Okay. Okay, it's coming up. Just drop a yes, just like 10, 15 yes on the comment section. If you can see my screen, just drop a yes in the comment section, please. Okay. Okay, we have enough yes already. Okay, so this is what the LMS looks like. The first time you get into the URL they're going to provide to you, this is what you're going to see. And don't worry about the URL. Everything's going to be shared with you guys as far as you registered for this program, like I said, and probably be through the invitation that you'll be able to have access to this. But if you go to our current website now, you're going to see this. You're not going to be able to interact with anything yet. That's because we put a gateway on when it starts and when you're going to finish it. So even when the program has already ended, while we might make efforts to make some materials available for you guys, you might not be able to interact with that particular cohort again, because then by that time to have finished, and that will be after the HITS module, the 24th week, basically. Okay, so this is what you see the first time you get to the website. You see this section, and you see this is what I was talking about earlier, right? Where you see different domains and you know what they're about, data, products, front-end delivery, and whatnot, right? And then you see maybe like a list of all the top courses. And if for some reasons you want to start your journey from here, you're welcome. But there's a cohort program that has been prepared for you guys and has all the modules all well prepared and structured. So for your own benefit, you don't have all the time to be going through courses haphazardly, right? Just get into the cohorts, see what courses are in the first module, interact with it, take all the quizzes there, take all do the project as well, then proceed to the next one. Okay, so let's say for the sake of this call, let's get into data engineering. Okay, so we've put these 2 courses just for the sake of this presentation, just for us to test things. Okay, so let's say I want to relate with this course called Create a Data Pipeline with Kafka. It has this content in there, right? So we have the announcements, so anything you might want to interact with here at all you have to just do is click. While you start hovering on the text, you will see what you can click there, and it's well arranged anyway. This is the topic and this is the content. Okay, just click it and you'll be able to get into it. And like I said earlier as well, this part shows the badge you get to earn when you complete that, provided that particular course has a badge attached to it. It could be that that course is the end of a particular module, or maybe it has been structured in a way that, well, if you can do this and probably pass the quizzes and the project, then you deserve this. So there are conditions. These are conditions that actually surround that. Okay. So let's say I click this particular course. Then this is what it's going to look like. So you see this detail where we just call out certain information about the course. Maybe these are the number of attempts that is available for the quiz in this particular course, and this is the number of scores you must have after the quiz or after the project for you to move to the next stage, right? So we have all of that information there. Okay. Then you will see a preview and a enter button. So what you just have to do is to press the enter button, and you would have access to the actual course content. Okay, so this is what this is going to look like, because I've interacted with this previously. So this is what it's going to look like, and in case you want to see all the list of topics or sections in that particular course, all you have to just do is click the icon on the left, and it shows you all of that, and then you can interact with it as you like. And there is a button on each of the slides that you can click, and there might be some prompts that might not be showing as this next and previous buttons. It might be that it's the link for you to continue maybe to the next. It might actually be just a text on the slide itself. We've built the course to be very, very interactive for you, and from here you can even it's very, very immersive basically. Okay, so you can move to the next one, interact with it. Yes, so you're gonna see stuff like this times. We're gonna nest some videos into a course like that, right? Just for you to make it very easy for you, basically. And there's some you might have to go out of the course itself to, like I said in the morning again, consume this content, come back to your class, do all of those things. Okay, as you can see, this is just playing around content. Then this is what the quiz would look like when you're done with the actual content. You would see stuff. Some might be, they are mostly multiple choice. What's it called? Yeah, multiple choice. Or there might, in some cases, in case you get yours, then that might probably be for the project. But for each course, what you're going to see is mostly multiple choices. So you go through that, you click any preferred response, you move to the next one, blah blah blah. And I'll be some will be like this as well, because I've done this. So I don't know if you guys have actually interacted with any course like this in the past. So what you just do is matching what fits what. There'll be some questions that will have that structure, okay? To just tell you to match. Maybe there's a scenario-based question, and it says that for this application, what database choice is best for it, and they give you the database choice, and they give you the scenarios, okay? So you probably do some matching. Then you move on to the next one as well. Then on this page, you get the final score you've had. So now it's going to be structured in a way that if this fits, and so if you score the exact score that we've already configured for that particular course or above it, then you get to move to the next one. And if you haven't, you probably have to take the quiz again. And yeah, so that is that on the course content. And we're still going to have another session where we get into more details about this, but this is to give you guys an overview. And I've already talked about how you guys are going to be onboarded as well. So you don't have to worry about signing up or where's the invitation link yet. We know what time, and we know the appropriate time to actually share all of that with you guys. When the time comes, you guys are going to get it. But this is how you would typically interact with this LMS, okay? And like I said, again, we're going to be checking with you guys as per feedback and reviews that you might have. Oh, this is actually very tough. I couldn't access this page, and we'll make sure we get it fixed for you as soon as possible. Okay. So I won't be the only one talking this session. I know you guys have tons of questions already, but I won't be the only person talking this session. We have some other things that we need to talk you guys through in terms of tools and other platforms that we're going to be using for this engagement, for this particular program. Okay, so Jay will take you guys through some other things that we need to worry about. So James, is it time? Are you ready? James?
Yeah, Adejuwon.
All right.
Juwon, do we have time? Do you have time to answer a couple of questions, or while Jay is talking, you can actually answer them at the background on the Q&A?
I don't know if James is very much ready. We can take maybe like one or two before Jay signals that he's ready.
Okay. So a question here is, does the LMS include interactive videos for each topic under the modules, or just simple text materials?
Okay. So like I mentioned, some courses that in case that happens, maybe like there's a need for a video to be in that course. You can trust us to have nested that video there, or at least give you a link that can maybe take you to an actual content that has been probably prepared, and really we don't find it. We find it very solid enough. We find it really good enough for us to reference, and all you have to like do is click the link and consume the video and just come back to your class. So
okay,
I hope that's
okay, I think the only other question here is, can we get a breakdown of the course structure modules for both data and cloud engineering track to help in making decisions on our preference of the path to take? I think that is going to be shared with the team at some point, with the group at some point, right?
sorry, can you please take the question again?
I said they are asking, someone is asking for the breakdown of the course structure and module for both cloud and data engineering. I believe that is going to be shared at some point.
Thank you very much.
Okay, Jay, if you're ready, please go ahead.
Okay, so I think I can just take more questions actually in this case. Just to give people more confidence about what they're really getting themselves into. Jay, except you probably want to just continue this.
Are you ready?
Yeah, okay. I just want to quickly walk through other engagement tools that we have access to. There will still be another session tomorrow where we actually kind of go through social media channels. But for the sake of the Cohort 5, the community that we have currently, I've already engaged with you guys a couple of times. You've been getting emails from me, James from CIL Academy, disturbing you and asking you to register for the induction or attend AMA sessions or do one or two things. So that's just one channel of communication that we currently have with you, just to make sure that we're able to cater to whatever needs that you have and whatever things that you need during the time that you are participating in this internship program. So the email is one of them. You can always reach out to us on those email channels that you're getting the emails from. That's academy@secureintel.com. And you also have access to communicate with yourselves and with the facilitators of the internship program on Slack. I want to share something that kind of gives you an overview. Okay, so just as I was saying, that we have access to Slack where we can all interact with each other and also with the facilitators for the Cohort 5 internship program. You will see on the CIL Academy workspace, just a note too, if there's anyone here that is not on the CIL Academy Slack workspace, please, we have some links that we've dropped before. You might need to reach out to us again via email, academy@secureintel.com, and we'll have you added to Slack. But you can easily join the Slack workspace with your email address. And then when you join the channel, you have access to, when you join the workspace, you have access to a couple of channels. There's the general channel where everyone is, and general stuff are being posted there. You also have the announcement channel that is specifically for the admins and facilitators to let you know what's going on. If there's any important news and updates that we want to pass across about any of the programs that is currently ongoing. So you have access to the general channel and the announcement channels. If there are any of CIL interns here, there's a specific channel for them as well. For the Cohort 5, which is the majority of you, I believe, you're supposed to have access to the Cohort 5 cloud and data channel. The channel is locked, so you need to be invited into that channel to get access to it. Now, if you're already in the workspace and you do not have access to the Cohort 5 cloud and data channel, please just look for me on Slack, James from CIL Academy, or reach out to Blessing if you cannot find my name, and ask to be added to the channel, so you will not miss out on any updates or announcements or whatever is going on in your cohort. And you can also connect with your fellow Cohort 5 devs and share your learning experiences and whatnot. So that's that about Slack, I think. There is also a video, a kind of walkthrough on how to use Slack and how to access all of these channels that Blessing has posted. I think it's pinned on the channel. When you're in the Cohort 5 cloud and data channel, you will find one of those walkthrough. Blessing took her time to, very nice person, to really kind of give you guys a hand-in-hand baby kind of or explanation on what you can do on Slack if you do not understand how it works. So you also have that for Slack. We also have a Telegram channel that is accessible to basically everybody. It's just more or less like your general channel as well, where everyone can go there and interact, share your experiences. If you're not really a Slack person, but you need to be on Slack if you're in the Cohort 5 for major engagements. But the Telegram channel is also available for everyone to connect. You can also connect with previous interns from CIL and probably new interns that are coming in for the next cohorts and all of that. You can also stay engaged. Also extending that, you can also access and follow or connect with us on various social media handles that we are present. I've seen a couple of you, already sharing your experiences and with your social contacts. I've seen some on LinkedIn, which is very good. So you can always share your experience and use some of our hashtags. CIL Academy is one of the hashtags. Or you can also share that you're a CIL dev on social media. We have our LinkedIn, Twitter, Facebook, Instagram. Depending on whatever channel you prefer to use. We're not on TikTok right now or or Snapchat. But if there is need for it, maybe you guys can suggest for us to join if you feel like that's where you can engage properly. But yeah, these are the channels we currently have. But the YouTube channel is going to be containing most of the induction series videos from yesterday up to the last day, which will be Friday. We're working on putting all of that so you guys can go back and replay whatever it is that you've probably been learning or you've already been engaging with during this induction program. There'll also be a number of other things, on the YouTube channel from every other events that we're holding digitally like this. I think that basically covers it. You already have, a little bit of guidance on the LMS. We'll do a little bit more deep dive in how you can use the LMS, by tomorrow, I think. So we're also encouraging you to document your learning journey by blogging on our LMS, and we'll do that tomorrow, I think. So well, that's basically it for me on our engagement channels. I don't know if there's any question that came through while I was kind of explaining stuff. So.
Okay, just to make a mental note, and so maybe just to put it in front of after the questions have been asked, right? So for those that has been complaining about not getting code, maybe even since like yesterday's session, the morning session, so we're going to try again and show all the codes that we've shown you guys so far from yesterday's morning session. We show yesterday's morning session first in that order: yesterday, then this morning, and then this session we're currently having. And this would be the last time we're going to be doing this, right? Please if your friend is not here, or maybe I think I saw someone on Slack that said I looked away when they were sharing, when they were showing the code. So I know you can hear my voice, so please pay attention and look through the screen when we've answered all the questions that you guys might have now, maybe like one or two of them, so we don't overshoot our time. Then we share all the screens and we'll show you guys all the codes from yesterday morning session. I hope that makes you guys fine and happy. All right, see, I want to take some questions.
Thank you, Adejuwon. So, can we get? Will we get access to the LMS end of this week, Friday, or will it be on Monday?
Okay. People are very impatient, but so let's say Friday close of business. If that doesn't work, and then Monday morning you guys will get. But before your session starts on Monday, you should have access to your LMS.
Okay. Someone said, please, I missed yesterday's session due to unforeseen circumstances. How do I access the recordings?
So we've answered that like several times already. All the sessions are going to be shared on our YouTube channel. So what you just have to do is just get to the YouTube channel. Just search for CIL Academy. You're gonna see there. But we still, we have to do some cleaning ups and making sure everything is well recorded. So you might have to wait some time before you get to access that.
Now, just to ask a question, we also need to be able to clarify if somebody who did not join the session can actually continue next week. If they don't get the code or you don't, I don't think that's going to be possible, is it?
Well, we've arranged the induction for a particular reason, and as you can see, we don't really think that you're going to really make good progress or be motivated, and we wouldn't want to trust how far you can go if you don't go through this process. We call it zero Techie, for example, for a reason. Okay, all these programs we've arranged for this 1 week, for this 1 week induction program, is for a reason. So in case if you don't get to come just for one session at all, or just for at least make a percentage, but that will be left to us anyway. We're expected to have the code for all of the sessions. Then we'll see at least let's see the effort from you guys. Okay, everybody on this call, from the organizer's perspective, they are putting their time aside to go through this with you. Okay, so I believe at least everybody on the call should also try to set some time aside to go through this. Okay.
Thank you very much. So this induction session is for the whole week, morning and afternoon, and it's expected that you are all able to attend. And by sending the code, able to attend all, it's very important, because this is going to lead you into the session for next week, and having a good understanding of everything that's been talked about this week is very important. There's another question here. Okay, I missed a few sessions of the induction program. Will I be allowed to join the cohort since it's a controlled onboarding? If you miss the induction session, then there is really no point. I mean, it's not even going to be, you're not going to be able to start, because the induction is a criteria as well. You have to go through this session before you can join the cohort. So it's very important that you don't miss any of these sessions. Joe, I'm not sure. I don't think we have, okay. Please share the code on the Q&A session. Joe, how is the code going to be shared?
Yeah, I'm going to share my screen, but you could also drop some on the Q&A section as well.
Okay, so the code is going to be dropped on the Q&A session, and it's also going to be showing on the screen. What if somebody misses like a day out of the two? We've answered this question several times. It is important that you are available for all the sessions. The code, what are the codes for? We're going to repeat this. these codes are the codes you're going to send to show that you actually attended this session. Is there an email that they're going to be sending this code to? Can we repeat it for them to hear?
Again, so you guys should treat it as what do you call it? Those gems that you get and you're saving, right? That's the way the codes are for now. Okay. When the time comes that we'll ask you, we really hope, and it's for your own benefit, that you're able to provide the codes when the time comes. Okay. Just for now, make sure you're storing them. As we show them, we're giving you guys for a reason. So make sure you're doing well to keep them. Okay, I'm going to be dropping the codes now from yesterday morning session till this particular moment. I mean, my Slack was almost on fire this afternoon. So that's why I'm going through this stress of showing you guys again from yesterday morning. And this will be the last time we're going to be doing this. For the subsequent sessions, there's not going to be, oh, I was urinating when you were sharing the code. I couldn't see the code. You have to just be present to get the code, please. Okay. So listen up and be attentive. There's the first one is on the screen now. The one for yesterday morning session is on the screen now. So you guys can take that from there. And yeah, the second one is up now. It's going to be up for me like 3 minutes as well. I'm going to also drop it on the Q&A session. Yeah.
Once you're dropping it on the Q&A session, just put for which of the session it is for morning, afternoon, so that it should be very clear for them. Thank you.
That's fine. Okay.
Okay, so someone is asking, the display code is for yesterday afternoon. All the codes are going to be dropped on the Q&A, so you don't have to worry. So it's going to specify what is for morning, what is for afternoon, and what is for today. For today as well, yesterday and today.
Yes.
Okay, a lot of people are saying they can't see they can't see the screen, that the screen is not showing.
Because of people around, I'm going through this stress now. So I'm done with it, and it's in the Q&A section. So just do well to check, and I'll advise you guys to not drop any question from here onward, so you don't have people overriding it. So it's there. That can be pinned.
Thank you very much, Sean. The codes are in the Q&A. You have the codes already. Please don't drop any more questions so that everybody would be able to see this Q and the codes. Like we said, and we've been repeating, you have to attend every of the induction sessions. We still have 3 more days. We have tomorrow morning, afternoon till Friday. Please try and attend. And it's actually very important. Yeah. It's not showing on my end. Please check the Q&A. That is where all the codes are. And if you keep dropping more messages, then a lot of people will miss it. I got a wrong code for morning and for afternoon session. I got a wrong code for morning and afternoon session. Do you know if somebody actually got a wrong code?
The person can just correct this now. Yeah, the person can just correct it now.
Now you can correct it.
Yeah, you can correct it now. The code is posted.
All right. Has everybody seen the codes? Please just indicate if you've seen the codes. Is there any other way So what? As soon as we stop this session, would there be any other way for them to see these codes or not?
Please. No, please. No that way.
All right, please make sure you have these codes, because this is the only opportunity. Once this call is, once we are done with the call, you'll no longer have access to these codes. I can already see a lot of people indicating that they have been able to see this code. Are you done?
Yes, please. Yeah, I'm done.
You're done. All right, thank you very much. Now, thank you everybody. Today, as this afternoon has been a very great session, we've been able to learn more at a high level who a data engineer is, their responsibility, the roles and the responsibilities, just, you know, some information that would get you into the session when the real session starts next week, to give you a bit of understanding on what a data engineer is all about. And we also had a guest speaker who came on board and talked to us about what his experience is like, to talk to us more about himself, to talk to us about what he does as an AWS solution architect. Very interesting session, and he's been able to let us know that anybody can be a solution architect, but there are a couple of things you need to also know. There are some skills you need to develop. There are some certifications that you also need to look into. You also need to gain that experience, and as you do all these, also showcase who you are. That helps you to get to where you need to. That helps you to get to where you want to be, and of course, you know, keep working hard towards improving, and that would help a lot. So that was a good session from our guest speaker, and we also ended this. The last session we had was a run through LMS, the engagement tools, and also how to use them by Adejuwon and Jay. Thank you very much, everyone, for joining this session. Tomorrow is another day that will be packed with a lot of activities. Please be here. Try as much as possible to make it for tomorrow's session again. Thank you very much. And that will be it for today.